I'm Becca and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can use just a simple empty drinks can. Don't have to be an alcoholic one, this is just what we've got. You can make your own cuff planks with it. That's just the basic thing that you can do with it. You can also make yourself a clay or quilling mould, and I'll show you how to use those. And then the other way is just to make yourself some nice cutters. They're not perfect, these cutters, they're not like the shop bought ones that you can get, but if you're crafting on a budget and you've got one of these already, it's perfect because you can measure out your clay for, say, if you're making beads and things like that, and you know that you're always going to get the same amount of clay. If you're wanting a more structured side, you know, like shape and size, then all you've got to do is just soften the edges and get it to the shape that you're wanting. So this is just a quick way for you to actually do it. So let's get into the video and I'll show you how to do it. Right, so before we get started, I apologise again for if you can hear the fan in the background. It's still rather hot where I am, so I've got to have it on, otherwise I'll turn into a crisp. So that's the noise in the background if you can hear it. So for the first use for our cans is going to be for a bracelet cuff blank. What we're going to use. These are basically what you can use in sort of bead embroidery and things like that for if you want to make a cuff bracelet. You can make them as just regular cuff bracelets as well, I suppose. I've just not used them for that yet. As you can see, this is out of polymer clay and it's quite flexible, but it will hold whatever your bead embroidery is that you're going to do in place. So the way that I've just made these, I'm just taking some conditioned clay. I'm going to do this without using the pasta machine because not everybody has one, so I thought I'd just today not bother using it. So I've just rolled it out into a sausage for now. Now if you want to measure the thickness of this, you can just use some pieces of cardboard at either side of it as you're rolling it out, and rolling it so that it's flat. Just stack them up the same on either side, and then your roller will just roll over the top. Just because I'm showing you this, I'm not measuring it too intricately, because I'm going to be using the clay for the next step as well. So I've just made it into a nice long sausage, and then I'm just going to take my rolling pin. And then what I like to do is that while I'm doing it is sort of straighten them up, and if you've got one of the longer tissue blades, I like to push it up at the side of it and it will straighten it out a little. You can cut it before the clay before you put it around your form, but I just like doing it this way. Okay, now depending on what size bracelet you're wanting, depends on how long you want your piece of clay. Now these ones are quite big for my wrists, so when I use them I'm going to be putting a clasp on so that they don't fall off. Now so you can roughly stretch now. So this is a little bit shorter than that one, but all I did was, once I've got it to the thickness that I wanted, I just squared off the ends. You could leave them rounded if you wish, that's up to you. Just showing you what I did on my other ones. And then again, you can make it thinner because you can see this is quite thick, so you probably won't want it that thick anyway, but like I said, I'm just using it for demonstration purposes. And then I'm going to take my can, and it's helpful if you've got one like this that's got the line on it for you to keep it straight, and just go along the edge of that line. And then you've got your gap where your wrist will go in. So like I said, when you're doing this, you'd probably roll it out a lot thinner than what this is. I just want to show you how I do it. And then you would put this in the oven and bake it while it was on the can inside the oven. That's a good thing about having a metal mould. And it's not me who drinks the Jack Daniels, it's my husband that drinks it, so when he's doing the video editing on this, I've nicked his cans. So so that's just that one. So I've already got some of those already to one side that I use for my bracelet blanks, but the other one I'm going to show you how to do is to make your own cutters. So what you need to do is take your can and just get a really sharp craft knife, and be extremely careful when you're doing this because you don't want to cut yourself. Now once you have got it started, if you have got some really sharp scissors, which I've got, then you can go around it with the scissors. If you haven't, then you can do it with just a craft knife. Let's see, show you how to do it with the scissors. Now we'll straighten up these edges once we've got it off, so don't worry that it's not completely straight. Just make sure that you're keeping it on a rough level. So just keep this to the side, make sure you don't cut yourself. And then we're going to do the same on this side, but I'm going to be using the bottom of the can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along this red line here, because I need to leave a little bit on, and that will be the next thing I show you to use it for. So again, I want to do it with scissors. It really does help if you've got cans that have got a line going along them, but it's not necessary. So save this, that's what we're going to use next. Now what we're going to do now is we're just going to take our scissors, and again, if you've got a line on here, I don't know whether you can see very well on the camera, it's just where the metal's joined on and we've made it. Just going to cut straight at that. Flatten it out as best you can. Right, so the next step is I want the writing to go on the inside a bit, because I want them to get shiny on the outside. I'm just going to mark it this way. So I'm just taking my ruler. Now, you can use a pencil or a pen that doesn't work, or a scoring tool, something like that. All we're doing is just going to put a mark down either side for us to cut along, just to straighten it off. So the same on the other side. I'll lift it up in a second and then you can see it better. Okay, so you can see I've just got 2 lines now. Now it's a lot easier doing it once you've got it separated from the top and the bottom. So we've got our knuckle ready. And what you need now is some duct tape. This is just so that you can use the cutters without worrying about cutting your hands. So what I'm going to do is just take a strip, going to pop it just so that it's about a quarter or half an inch, something like that, over on this side. Try and line it up a bit better than what I just did. Yeah, I'll start from the end, go it this way. And as you can see, the duct tape is very, very sticky. But I can make it work, and then just press it down. And then just turn it over. And then flatten it along the other side. Okay. So you can do different depths of cutters just depending on what it is that you're wanting to do. So this is just short of 7 centimeters. So I'll cut this down. I can probably do it. Where's my finger gone? There we go. I'll cut it down to, I'll do one at 3 and then one at 1.5, because then we can do different sizes of cutters. Now, I'm not going to make you watch me put the tape on all of them, so I'm just showing you how I mark it out for if I'm wanting to make smaller ones. Okay. And just cut down same way that we did earlier. So those can be used for other ones. Now it doesn't have to be as deep as this, but you need to make sure that this end's clear from the tape so that it'll cut when we want it. So and the next step is just deciding how big of a cut we're wanting. Now obviously depending on what you need will be dependent on the diameter of the circle. So I'm going to start off with circles and then show you how we can make other shapes as well. So I've got that at 21. So if we cut, I think we'll do, we'll do a 5 centimetre one. And then you've got to remember, excuse me, just you might need to leave a little bit for you to put your tape on at the end. So and then do one that's 10, and then that one works out at 6. So again, if you want to do lines just to help you when you're cutting. All you've got to do is try to bend it around, and then we're going to tape it together. So if you're wanting to curl your foil or metal, whatever you want to call it, you can use your rolling pin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this round to this side. So this is quite a small cutter. That's fine. So if you're making beads and things, you probably want a smaller cutter anyway. And then just take a little bit of duct tape. So stick it to one side, and then just curl it around. Now, the only reason that you need to do cutters when you're making beads really is for getting them so they're roughly the same size. So you want to measure out the clay. Just get a little bit more. And remember, you're going to have to leave a little bit for you to be able to cut through. So we've got our first little cutter. Not perfect like ones that you'd buy in the shop, but you can make it out of things that you've already got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some more strips of metal out that I've got for some other cans, and I'll come back because you don't want to watch me doing that all over again, and I'll be back in a minute. Right, so I've got some more made, and I think out of each can I can manage to get about 4 different sizes. So I've got some large ones and some smaller ones. I'm going to keep the smallest one for when I'm punching out clay for when I'm making beads. But I want to show you some other shapes that you can do with these. Now, as you can see, this one's probably already going to a point. If you've taped it right up edge to edge, the metal here, if you can see on the inside, this automatically lends itself to be a teardrop. So all you need to do is just pinch it more at the bottom. So you could do that with any size of the cutters that you've got, and then if you need a circle again, all you do is just push it back. That's all you've got to do. So it's up to you whatever you want to make, sizing wise. And then you could also leave that one as a teardrop. So we've got a circle. Ooh, I've gone off camera then, sorry. These ones out of the way. And you could also do a square. So if you just pinch it the same as like what we've just done, and straight across from it, and then open it back up, and then if you want to push the 2 points that we've just made together, so just line them up and press down the sides. Now if you've got a bone folder or just the back of your scissors, you can just press along these just to give you a nice sharp point, and then you just open it back up, and there you've got a square. Okay? Or that could quite easily go into a diamond as well. So whatever you want it to be, you can do with that. And then you could also do a triangle. So I've got another one. Again, pinch it. And then what we're going to do now is we're just going to push this down this way. And we've got to imagine where we want our other points to be. So I'm just pushing it in between my fingers there. And then just nipping all the way down. And we've got a triangle. So like I say, you can do this with any of the sizes of cutters. So you've got a triangle, got a square, got a teardrop, circle, so that's a different size circle one that I've got. And again, just some big ones, so you can make all different sizes out of it. So I'll show you now how well they work. So I'm just taking that clay that we used before. It's nice and soft. Of course, these are not very strong cutters compared to the ones that you buy in the shop, like these ones. You need to make sure that your clay is really, really well conditioned, because then it will cut easier. I'm going to roll it out. Again, just roll it to whatever thickness you want it to be. If you've got a pasta machine, you can do that, and it will just roll it out to the thickness that you set it to. Again, with this, you can just use some pieces of cardboard at either side of your clay, stack them up however many you want it to be, and then just roll against it, and it won't go any lower than that, won't make it any thinner. So I've got that pretty thin now. So I'm just going to take out my little cutter and just push down. It's not a perfect circle, but all you're doing is measuring out your beads, or the clay that you're going to be putting into your bead. It's perfect. And all you need to do is just soften the edges, and then it will turn into a perfect circle, a disc, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. So I'll just show you with the other ones. So let's try a triangle. Just push down, and this is why I've got the masking tape on, so you're not going to cut your fingers on this edge of it. Similar. So if you're wanting just a really easy way to make your own cutters, just to measure out clay for different projects, then you don't need to go buying expensive cutters. You can just go to your recycle box and just make your own. Okay, so I've got this one. Now the last bit that we're going to use is the base of the can. As you can see, it's got this sharp edge along it. I'm not going to put any duct tape around this one. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my scissors, and I'm going to cut down to this line here. Okay, so I'm just going to do little snips all the way around. Our way around, not left too big of a gap in between the cuts because we just want it to go round, and then we're just going to push these over and then get a nice sealed edge. It doesn't matter that it's not straight because it's not the bit that we're going to be using, it's this part here. Pushing them over until we get round to the other end. As you can see, it's no longer sharp. Now what you can use this for is for moulding pendants. So if you want something that's more of a dome shape, let's take our clay again. Just get it to the thickness that you want. So depending on what size you're wanting, whether if you've made yourself a cutter or you've got a shop bought one, I'm just going to take this one, so because when I do this technique, this is generally for if I'm making an actual pendant. So if I've got the exact shape that I want in a proper, you know, like shop bought cutter, then I'll use that one. But you can use these, you've just got to smooth out the edges. So I'm just going to take a disc. One with the shop bought cutter and then one with the other one. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to place that over the dome and press it down to it. Now this will be decorated however you want it to be, and you'll put your hole in it where you want it to be threaded through. I'm just showing you how you would use it. So it to just be like that, and then again you put this straight in the oven and bake it on this, and then when it's done it will just pop off. It'll not stick to the can, it'll just pop off, and you'll be ready for using it in whatever you're making. The other way around is you can use it this way if you don't want to use the opposite side, and just put it down into the well. Okay, so I'll show you with the cutter as well, the one that we've just made it in. I do babble on sometimes. So let's go with this one. This is the larger circle. So just get it out. As you can see, that's not a perfect circle, but it will be. I'm just going to smooth the edges. Now, if you've got a piece of paper, which I've actually got one with me at the moment, try using this. If you just have something to pop it on that you can make it so that it turns around easier, you can just shape it and then move it round. Do it this way. Or you could use a blade if you can pick it up, like I showed you earlier when we were doing the cuff blank. Make sure you've got it how you want it to be. My other can over. Right, that's a bit more rounded now, how we want it. Now I'm just going to take the mould and just pop it in. You can always stretch it out a little bit while it's on here as well, that will help with the curve. So you can use it either way. There we go. So you can actually use this not just for clay, you could use it for your quilling as well. So this is just a tight coil. I can't remember how many strips it was that I've done, but it's basically just the same as you would, because you can get quilling moulds and you just push it against it. Now, depending on how big the dip is and how big your coil is as to how much curver it will be, but if it's only got a small dip, now you've got that started, you can use your thumb quite easily just to mould it round. So then you've got a quilling mould. So that's just it. 3 uses for you. And so you've got all your 3 different ways of using these now, or 4 if you include it as a quilling mould as well, your base. So you've got your different shapes, different sizes, and then you've got your cuff blank, which is just basically wrapping it around the can itself and popping it in the oven. So I hope that's been helpful, and I've been ready to have a go at making your own cutters and moulds. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments for me, I'll be happy to answer them. And if you've liked the video, if you could give me a thumbs up, that'd be appreciated. And if you've not subscribed already, if you would consider subscribing, that would be appreciated too. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.